Live. Are we live? Are we live? We are live. Hello, my friends. Welcome back. Good evening, good morning, wherever you're watching me right now. And thank you very much for actually clicking in here for this late hour, if you're in Australia. And I don't want to do this too long today, okay, this live stream, because I have to work tomorrow, okay? So I would much appreciate it if someone can tell me when we're reaching midnight, okay? So that means in an hour. So let me just, as always, double check if everything is working, because Tony is not doing anything here. He's not checking for the right settings. I have to do everything on my own. Oh my goodness, this was a day today, really, absolutely crazy day. And by the way, after this video, after this stream, I will upload my next comparison video between the QN95B and the G2 from LG. And it's just a great comparison and much better actually, or how should I say, you see a bigger difference actually between those two TVs than on any other comparison what I have done so far in terms of CX and G2. Hello Yono Taka. How are you? I hope good. I hope everything is fine with my voice. I mean, my voice is terrible, I know this, but I mean the volume from my voice. And I just literally, maybe 2 minutes ago, I finished uploading my other video, Now it's processing on YouTube, which takes ages, of course, as always. But it should be fine. Everything should be fine. And today I like to talk about the topic CX versus G2 and if you should consider to upgrade or not. Because I'm getting actually those questions in all of my videos or in some videos, and I like to try to answer the question. But I like to wait a little bit till more people joining. And as always, do me the favor, please, and share this link on Twitter, Instagram, Pornhub, wherever you think, no, not wherever you think you like to share it, that we can get actually more people on this stream. I would much appreciate it. Okay, so no one is complaining about anything, so it looks like it's fine. You're great, very good, perfect, and yeah, no worries at all for the comparisons. That's what I love to do actually. I would just need much more time to do better comparisons and more actually, and better actually, because I'm not that happy, not 100% happy in terms of the quality. As always, I'm not happy. Okay, Chapeki, I own just BX, but it feels quite good. It is a great TV. All the let's start with this. All the OLED TVs from LG are great TVs. Full stop. From the A1 or A1, is there A2 as well? I think so. A1, A2, and then up to the G2. There are great TVs for their money. That's my opinion. The question is, of course, if there is for the same money a better TV. That's always the question. And in terms of all-rounder TVs, I would actually say no. All-rounder TVs in terms of you can do everything in a very high quality. Let's say like this. And for a reasonable price. Because when we're looking at the A95K from Sony, which is a top and the best TV, most likely what you can buy right now, but for my user case, actually not the best choice, because I like to do a lot, or I'm doing a lot of testing in terms of HDR gaming, and I needed a TV with HDRG. That's what I needed. And also there is no game hub or game bar, whatever you call it on Sony, which I need for my testing. It's nothing what you need as a gamer. If you just play games and you don't care about all this stuff, the A95K is a great TV, and if you can afford it, then go for it. But for me, it was not the right choice. And I really thought about this very, very long. And there is actually a very big price difference here in Australia as well. I was lucky and I got the G2 65-inch for 4,200 $4,250, inclusive delivery and stuff like that. The A95K at this very moment, and there was no chance to get any price reduction, was $6,000. And I ask, of course, if I can have it for 5.5, because maybe 5.5 I would, maybe I would get it, okay? But there was no way, because it was brand new out. And they had a couple of pre-orders as well. Well, they told me they have pre-orders, so you never know if they're lying or not. But anyway, so there was no way to get the A95K cheaper. And that's how it is. Anyway, for me personally, the G2 so far, a very good buy. Absolutely. I do not regret it. Not at all. So, and as always, if you have questions in the comment section, then just tag me please and ask me whatever you like to ask in terms of TVs, okay? CX, G2 or whatever you think you have to ask, or ask the chat or whatever, because I'm not the all-knowing guy here, absolutely not. I'm learning every day, and I'm learning a lot every day, because I learned I'm stupid actually when it comes to HDR and all this stuff. So we have other people then knowing much more about this, like Matt Ninichian, Keep It Classy and stuff like those guys, you know, they know so much more, of course. And if you're familiar with the name D-Nice, he's I think the best calibrator in the world. I don't know, but he's a very, very good calibrator. Absolutely, he knows absolutely what he's talking about. But today's topic is actually CX versus G2. And again, for people that just joined, after this stream, I'm uploading my comparison video between the QN95B and the G2, and you will be surprised. I'm not saying anything, I'm not spoiling, because you should please watch the whole video, okay? Whole video, not just 2 minutes, okay? Please do me a favor, because YouTube likes if you watch the videos longer, okay? That's how it works. Thank you very much in advance. Okay, let me check if I missed anything here. Shinek, hi. Gray Dire Wolf, S95B, 55 inches, now $1,800. No reason to get a G2. Okay, this is US most likely. So, but again, the S95B is for me a no-go. After all the software issues, after calibration issues and stuff like that. And the QN95B, by the way, is in terms of calibration absolutely nightmare. Full stop. Absolutely nightmare. I never have seen such a nightmare of calibration. Full stop. I don't want to talk too much about this, but this is also was one of the reasons why I like to get an LG, because I was familiar with this, and LG is so easy to calibrate. The menus are very nice, and it's just so much better. Hey buddy, how are you? Good evening. Frederico, I bought my CX last year. I'm not thinking of changing it, but I would like to hear your opinion. You will hear my opinion in a couple of minutes. Hey Fabian, how are you? Oh, why is this so loud here when there's a... I hope you didn't hear this. I got a message here and it was like crazy noisy. Why is this so? Can I turn this down here without harming anything here? Yeah, it should be fine. Where was I? Fabian, I own a CX 77 inch. So I have always 65 inch TVs because I'm sitting very close to my TVs. Very close, around 1.8 meter, which is in feet, I have no idea. I don't know, something feet, okay, for my American viewers. But it's actually very close. I like the feeling, and I'm doing this when I'm using my G2. By the way, I'm using my G2 as a PC monitor right now, which is just great. I used to use my QN95B as a PC monitor, because compared to the CX, the QN95B is brighter, HDR has more impact and stuff like that. I told you this already. QN95B is in some terms better than the CX. But after the G2, I changed, of course, back to the G2, because WRGB panel for PC editing and stuff like that, it's just so amazing. So amazing. The sharpness is wow. Hey Michael, infamous second son in glorious SDR. No, in HDR. Okay, let me sharpness 10 or 0. 0. 0, 0, 0. Okay, absolutely 0. I don't know why LG is having this set to 10 on standard, but it's 0. LG ZX versus C2. I'm not spoiling. I will tell you what I'm thinking about the G2 and CX in a second. I will just read here the comments that I'm not missing anything. I have Sony X900E. What best TV to upgrade to? To be honest, I'm not familiar with the Sony X900E. That's why I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe you can put in more info from when this, or maybe I can actually Google this. I can do this. I'm able to Google. Yes. Maybe Artings have Artings, by the way, Artings, R and then things.com is one of the best websites when it comes to TVs, okay? And let me just, they have actually some tools or whatever where you can compare TVs, and it's just great. Okay, let me just bring something up here. So it's, the problem is always comparing older TVs with newer TVs because they're changing all the time their test setup, which is a little bit. Let me just double check here. What do we have here? Is there any? Oh, but your X900E, if this is correct, has actually a peak brightness of 820 candela. This is actually not bad. And a 100% window brightness of 525 candela. This is really not bad. But of course it's a LCD screen, correct? It's a LCD. Is it? I think it's a LED, yeah, LCD, VA. Of course, okay. Anyway, I'm not the biggest fan. How should I say? Okay, let's say like this: the QN95B is one of the best LCD TVs what you can buy. Okay, right now, but there's no way that this TV is better than the G2. No way. And the CX, yes, in some cases, some in some content. But just because it's so much brighter and it's more powerful. But then you have banding, you have all this stuff and dirty screen effect, of course. Yeah. Anyway, for the Sony X900E, I mean, the HDR peak brightness is actually not too bad, but this is not everything for a TV. So I would always go for maybe a C2. You know, have a look on a C2. You don't need to go for G2. But a C2 is fine. Okay, let me just read. Is the lower input lag on the G2 noticeable versus the higher input lag on the CX? No way, no way. Because you're just talking about one frame or whatever in most of the cases, and even we need to consider this. Because people talking about A95K input lag, and I did the same mistake. They're talking about input lag on the A95K is too high compared to the G2 or S95B. But forget it. It's really just a frame or whatever, and you can't feel it. And if you're a competitive gamer, then you're not going for an OLED TV anyway. You have a high-end LCD screen with a very low input lag. So that's my opinion. So don't bother with input lag, to be honest, on the high-end TVs. It doesn't matter if it's 8 milliseconds or 4 milliseconds. You will not see or feel a difference. Full stop. Okay. Enough people here. Let's talk about LG CX, and it's so cozy here today. I heated up the room, 30 degrees, of course not. And I have here a white hot chocolate. And you know the best thing is, this white hot chocolate has just 10 calories or whatever. 10 calories, and you know what the best thing is about it? You can taste it. It tastes like crap. it's Yeah, it's not. Anyway, I put a little bit sugar in because this is obviously missing. Anyway, okay, LG ZX and LG G2. Should you upgrade? And this is very hard. So there's no yes and no. There is no yes and no. You know why? Because if your hobby is TVs, then there's no price question. But then maybe the question is if you should upgrade to the A95K. But topic is today CX versus G2. I can see differences. I can see differences, especially when it comes to the average picture brightness. And this is the most important thing what I complained about the CX. So when I got my QN95B, because I got my QN95B before my G2, I was impressed from the picture brightness compared to the CX, especially in HDR10 and Netflix and whatever stuff. Wow, it was so much better. Of course, we know the QN95B is very inaccurate. In the very beginning, it was very inaccurate in terms of the filmmaker mode, movie mode with the EOTF curve. Absolutely not very nice. But there was you were able to change it to a normal value or to be more accurate. But even then, the picture was just more powerful. So let me explain what I'm talking about. When you have an outdoor scene and you have an absolute bright sunny day, no clouds, nothing else, and the scene from the movie is playing outside, you're expecting actually a very powerful, bright picture, as in real. DCX is struggling to do this. You can clearly see this. Everything looks dull. It looks actually grayish at some point, and this has nothing to do with calibration, because I did a lot of testing in terms like that. It's really just because DCX is not powerful enough to deliver you the experience of a bright picture. That's how it is. QN95B, of course, no problem at all. I mean, it's a LCD TV. At the end, there is some limitation with ABL, automatic brightness limiter and stuff like that, but not even close to a OLED TV, especially DCX. Now, on the other hand, we have the G2, and I wouldn't say it's like day and night, but it's a very noticeable difference in terms of the average picture brightness. Not much like in terms of the peak brightness, So my OLED, the G2 has around a peak brightness around 960 candela after calibration. My G2, okay. DCX has around 700, 720, 750. It depends. Yeah, it's very. It's changing all the time. Let's say 700 to 750, okay? Something like that. So 200 candela peak brightness more on the G2 is not that much what you can easily spot with your eyes. It is side by side, you can see it, but in terms of peak brightness, no, it's not a day and night difference. What the difference is in terms of peak brightness is that the G2 has much more details in specular highlights, much more details. It's not clipping, it's just showing you a very nice bright picture. And also in terms of the average picture brightness, there is no problem anymore if you have an outdoor scene with full sunshine that the G2 is struggling. No way. Of course, QN95B is still brighter because it's a LCD TV. That's how it is. But compared to the CX, there's not a very big, but there is a noticeable difference. Okay? If this difference now in terms of the average picture brightness is worse to upgrade from a CX to a G2, this is something what you need to answer for yourself, to be very honest, because again, it's your hobby. It's what you like to do. If you like to have a better experience in terms of watching TVs or playing games, then yes, you should do it. If you have a budget every year for, let's say, $5,000 for buying a new TV, and you like to have a very good all-round TV, and that's what the LG OLED, the G2 is, in my opinion, then go for the G2, because it is a all-round TV, in my opinion. I would consider, from my point of view, the A95K as a mainly movie TV. That's my opinion. But of course you can play on the TV. You can do it. But mainly I would buy or would recommend this TV to movie freaks, because very accurate out of the box. You don't have to do much in terms of settings. You just turn on the TV and you enjoy. And the same counts for the G2, but A95K is even on a next level, okay? You get my point. S95P, when it comes to out of the box settings and accurate, it's crap. Full stop, it's crap. But for gaming, and I told you this already, it really doesn't matter that much if you have the perfect accurate picture. That's my opinion. So let me just have a quick look on the here in the comment section. And again, if you like to ask me a question, please tag me. To run. Hey, kannst du ein Video über die ganze Farbeinstellung auf einem CX machen und am besten mit den Xbox Series X Einstellungen? I have done this. He's asking if I can do a CX calibration video. I have done this already. But of course it was a long time ago, but it's still valid. So there's no difference. Okay? So what else do we have? Off topic. But what is the best wireless headset for Xbox Series X? I'm looking for best sound quality, microphone and comfort. If you're looking for the best sound quality, microphone and comfort, then I don't think it's a wireless headset, to be very honest. So I'm using here, there's a reason why I'm not using a wireless headset. I mean, I'm having a Bose QC35 for listening to music when I'm out. And the sound quality is great, but the problem is with wireless, you have always the delay. So it's nothing for watching movie or stuff like that. So no. A wireless headset, if you're looking for best sound, then in my opinion, better look for something like with a wire, in my opinion. And yeah, but I can't recommend anything. I think this one is really, really good. I like the sound quality. My wireless Bose QC35 2 or double I is also very, very good, but this one is better in my opinion. But hi, I think you are the best HDR calibrator. I like your calibration every game on LG-CX. Thank you very much. I'm doing my very best and I'm getting better every day, but it's a lot of work, okay? So thank you very much for watching my videos, and thank you very much for sharing my videos, by the way. Yeah, I regret getting my 77-inch LG CX. So when did you buy it? Oh, it's because it's too big for your room. Too big. That's what she said. This is really, with sugar, it's actually not bad. Not me. That pixels on my LG CX 65-inch is in service now. I'm lucky that in 2 months the 2-year warranty expires. So how many dead pixels? I haven't checked my LG CX for a long time, and I don't want to do it. And I haven't checked the QN95B at all, and I will not check the LG G2, because for what reason? If you can't see it from a normal viewing distance, then just forget about it. If you of course can see it from your viewing distance, that's a different topic. Dennis the Menace. Hey everyone, I love my Sony A90J. I had a LG C9 before, sold my C9 to my sister's husband. That's good. Good. You sold a very good TV and you got also a very good TV. Yeah, Arting's Rules. They also review headsets and headphones. Yeah, they're doing actually a lot of stuff. Is the CX better than the QN95B for movies? Okay, that's a good question, and I would actually say yes. And the reason is because of contrast. Contrast is very important, and what is contrast? Okay, let's start like this. So contrast is the difference between the darkest part from a picture and the brightest part from a picture. So now, of course, we can argue that the QN95B has actually, on the paper, a higher contrast than the CX because the QN95B can display perfect black, and has a much higher peak brightness than the CX, around 1000 candle or more than the CX, okay, on the paper. So the problem is, this is of course a measurement which is not showing you the real picture or real live picture, okay? Because what I learned is, when I'm watching movies on the Q95P, and let's say you have a scene in, let's say, in the space, and the background is very, very dark, and you have a lot of very bright stars. The Q95P is struggling to give you a very contrast, powerful picture. The CX of course not, because the CX just turning off or on pixels as he likes it. But the Q95P can't do this because of the LED backlight. Okay, you have 720 or whatever backlight zones on the Q95P, but the problem is, and that's a very big problem actually. It's not a big, it's first world problem, but it is a problem. When you, let's say you have now the space scene and you have one tiny, very, very bright star. Let's say a couple of pixels, but on an OLED TV very visible and very powerful because of the contrast, very bright, and the background is dark. On the Q95P, first of all, it is not as bright as on the CX, and you have around, it's not even halo. In terms of halo, it's right, a halo, you know, with the whitish stuff around the white pixel. It's the Q95P is very good in terms like that. If you sit straight to the TV, I almost see there's no, very hard to spot halo actually. But the problem is, because the Q95P doesn't want to raise the backlight too much, because he knows you will see the halo effect. So that means the star, actually the object what the TV likes to display, is not very bright at all. And compared to the CX, that's a very big, even the CX, and I'm talking about the CX, not even the G2, which of course is even a different level in terms like that. That's a very big problem, in my opinion. The Q95P is great for HDR gaming, in my opinion. Great response time, or great input lag, or enough, good enough input lag. HDR is fine, and even you like SDR gaming, the Q95P is so much brighter, if you like it very bright, than the G2 or CX. But for proper watching movies, in my opinion, no. I would never, no, I would, if I would have the chance, or the choice between CX and Q95P, I would go with the CX in terms of movies. Gaming is a different story again, okay? The gaming, different story. Okay. LCD better than OLED? No, Michael, absolutely not. Really not. I'm afraid you're very, very wrong. And I'm having the Q95P here, okay? I'm having the top LCD screen here, what you can buy at the moment. That's how it is. And yes, we know that there's a Sony LCD TV, but also it's not on the same level, I think, than the Q95P. How big is your room, the distance from watching? Are you asking me right now? My room is, I don't know, normal size, but I'm sitting around 1.8 meters away from my TVs. 1.8 meter. It's actually very close, yeah. Only thing I miss from my LG is DTS pass-through from PS5. So I never missed this feature actually, but maybe you need it. Luckily I don't need it. But you're right. It's actually, yeah, it should be in. That's how it is. If you mostly game at 30 FPS, would you get an LCD or OLED? LCD. Please get an LCD. Or if you like to play with black frame rate insertion in black frame rate, I'm not saying the other word now. You know, where you can simulate 60 FPS, then you need to go with the CX, because all the other TVs, I'm not quite sure if the C1 has BFI as well, but not the G2 anymore. But I'm not a big fan. I'm not a fan of BFI at all. Not at all. I really don't like it. But some people like it, and you can make the game is looking like it is 60 FPS, but I found it a lot of artifacts. What you have, the input lag, of course, is much higher than in the normal mode. I'm not a big fan. But if you mostly play 30 FPS games, then our LCD screen is the better choice because of the additional shutter of additional motion blur or blur picture. Because the OLED screen is so fast in terms of response time from the panel, it will show you without any, how should I say, it's just showing you exactly what is going on. And that's a big problem with 30 FPS games. And when I got my CX, and back then I just had my PlayStation 4 Pro, and I played all my favorite game, I was actually really shocked because it looked worse than on my cheap LCD screen. And in terms of worse, because you really see this stuttering all the time. The LCD screen was just smearing, it was absolutely blurry, of course, but the same is with the CX. 30 FPS is not a nice picture at all. It's always blurry, but in addition you have this very stuttery picture on the OLED TVs. So no, that's my opinion. That's why I don't like 30 FPS games at all anymore. Matthew, pink tint on your G2. Yes, I have a pink tint on the left side, a bar maybe like 3-4 centimeters, which is noticeable with test pattern, and of course sometimes with content when you look at this, of course. But it's because it's absolutely on the left side, it doesn't bother me at all. I have to say, in terms of, let's talk about this, banding and dirty screen effect, because also OLED TVs have dirty screen effect and banding. The G2 is significant better than my CX, full stop, period. The G2 has one of the best panel I have ever seen. And I have to admit, of course, I don't have a A95K or S95B, which are supposed to have one of the best panels when it comes to banding or dirty screen effect. Okay, so the Q95B here in this room, it's a nightmare compared to the G2, full stop. Okay, that's also, by the way, for LCD screens you have much more dirty screen effects, full stop. And you can buy the most expensive LCD TV what you can get, you will have dirty screen effects. Same for OLED TVs, of course, but right now they are much better, and the G2 is significant better than the CX, and the CX is already much better than the Q95B. So in terms of banding and or in dirty screen effect, the G2 is day and night different to the CX, full stop. That's what I'm saying. Much better. Okay, what else do we have? I'm missing a couple of, not me gaming tech, but if you play in a dark room or in the night, do you really need anything over CX? Yes. See, that's the thing, what I explained before with a movie and the outdoor scene. It doesn't matter if you play in a dark room or in a very bright room, this scene will look dull compared to the G2. And this was the most thing what I didn't like at all. That's why I changed when I got my Q95B. My Q95B was then my main TV for watching movies as well, because it was just more powerful than the CX. CX is a great TV, but it's already 2 years old and it's limited in terms of peak brightness. And 700 candela peak brightness for HDR is nothing. Even 1000 candela for the G2 is actually nothing in terms of HDR. Nothing. Okay, what we have here, blooming, that's the word, blooming. It's not halo, it's blooming. Yes, blooming, what I'm looking for. So the Q95B is very good when it comes to blooming. If you sit off angle to the TV, yes, you can see it more. But doing movies and stuff like that, of course, if you have, let's say, even with subtitles, by the way, they're actually very great. Maybe they're smart actually and put the LCD or the backlight pattern exactly where the subtitles are. But in terms of blooming, the Q95P is really good. But what always, and you will see this in my comparison video, and I did this already with a comparison with the Q95P and CX. The Q95P has always like a gray, how should I say, because of the lower contrast. On paper, I argue with anyone on paper when I'm doing testing, how contrast is measured. The Q95P has a better contrast ratio compared to all the other TVs, OLED TVs. But if you do right testing like our things or whatever doing, then you have actually the backlight turned on in the background, because this is what is happening. As soon as you have information on the screen, on an LCD screen, the backlight needs to be turned on. That's how it is. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And this is the contrast where you have to measure. And this is what I can see all the time here right now as well. The background, what you can see on your screen, I have on my Q95P. And when I'm comparing this with my G2, this has not the same contrast as on the G2. It looks, let's say, it a little bit washed out. Very tiny, but that's my impression. And there's nothing what I can do about it. Nothing. Okay, hopefully I didn't miss anything, a couple of questions or whatever. So again, if you have questions, then just tag me. Everything OLED, my C2 on SDI shockingly dim. I see comments like this on occasion, makes me really hesitant to get the OLED route. Look, I don't understand either why. So let's say like this. So first of all, SDR is when we're talking about the creator's intent, which we can agree or not if we like this. But if we're talking about this, then the LG OLED TVs are absolutely bright enough for doing exactly what SDR is supposed to do. But I can understand that people doesn't like it. It's too dark. And I have to admit, on the Q95P, I'm having a much brighter SDR picture than on my OLED TVs, because it's more powerful, it's more impact. I fully understand this. If you talk with to hardcore, with all due respect, but if you talk to hardcore calibrators, of course they're saying no, it has to be 100 candela, it has to be 200 candela, and I get this, because this is how SDR is mastered. But it can be too dark for some people. Okay, that's how it is, and I see no problem why you can't have a brighter picture. Can you tell me what settings for Samsung QLED, please? Which one? The Q90? Again, I said this already in the beginning. In terms of calibration, the Q95P is a nightmare. Absolutely. Hey Vic, can you recommend a good monitor for competitive FPS and eSport? No, sorry, I can't. I'm not familiar with monitors for eSport and competitive shooters, but check out Artings. Check out Artings or Hardware Unboxed. Hardware Unboxed is doing a lot of monitor testing, and I'm very sure you find the right monitor on those websites. With Warm 2, DCX picture looks too greenish. Who else has the same problem? I think it's actually uncalibrated. It's too magenta on my CX. But yeah, of course, I mean, look, the LG CX is in SDR and Warm 2. I think it was SDR and Warm 2. Almost perfect out of the box in terms of D65. Okay, almost perfect on the spot. HDR on the other hand is not perfect. It's quite the opposite actually on the G2. G2 HDR out of the box setting is very good. Absolutely very good. SDR, no. That's on my TV, okay? A 65-inch G2. And if you don't calibrate a TV, and this counts for any TV, it will have always not the accurate colors or grayscale. So this is just normal. So if you like to have the best accurate picture, you need to spend some money and get it calibrated. That's how it is. Bending and dirty screen effect is 90% dependent on the panel rather than the model. It's always a lot. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you can't say the Q95B has, yeah, okay. I mean, let's say like this. It's more happening on LCD screen than OLED TVs. That's for sure. But he's absolutely right. You can be very, very lucky, and you get a perfect LCD TV, and then you can actually be very lucky and you have a very bad OLED screen. But then I would actually return it, because it's usually not the case. Hey, Matt Ninichian, how are you? Yes, yeah, I 100 to 250 cannula is fine. Absolutely, I agree with him. So SDR content, I calibrated my SDR content on the LG TVs to 200 cannula for 10% wide window. That's what I'm doing. And I like it. I absolutely like it. The colors are absolutely popping. And this is what some people trying to tell you, if you watch the wrong channels, by the way, that SDR colors are not good. SDR colors with Gamma 2.4 or BT8086, oh my god, was this correct? BT1886, I think it was, is the best way what you can do, in my opinion. Of course, HDR is a different story, but SDR, Gamma 2.4 or BT1880, 8086, bloody hell, and you're good to go. And the problem is, of course, the more brighter you make your TV, the more the colors will fade. This is what you can see on TVs, HDR TVs, with a very high peak brightness. The colors are getting actually less at some point. That's how it is. I mean, it's. I would actually say it's probably the same with the LG TVs, but maybe Matt can answer this question. So if you, and we're talking not about the color Gamut, or is it Gamut? But let's say like this, I'm very sure the color volume, I think this is the right word. I think the color volume is in SDR actually better than in HDR. If volume is the right word, I'm not quite sure, but I think he gets what I'm talking about, because you don't need to have that much brightness. You can focus on the colors, and the pixels are able to push the brightness from the colors what you're supposed to have. In HDR, this is not possible anymore. This is then QD OLED technology, what you need, okay? Only washed out with peak brightness on, yes. But is color volume the right, what I'm talking about when you have, I'm not quite sure. BT8086, yeah. BTS80, yeah, it's so SDR content, Gamma 2.4 or BT8086. I'm not using Gamma 2.2. It's not washed out, but you get much better colors with Gamma 2.4. Absolutely. So what else do we have? Best settings for Samsung QLED, please. I will do my very best, and maybe I will do another try for calibrating this crap TV. Sorry. No. In terms of this, if you like to have a good out of the box picture, then don't get a Samsung TV. Full stop. Don't get a Samsung TV. I bought this TV for a reason for my channel, because I like to have the best LCD TV what is available on the market for doing my HDR testing, which is fine. And I learned my lesson. I will never buy in my life an LCD screen again. Full stop. But I had to try it. And look, it's still a good TV. Don't get me wrong. But compared to an OLED TV, if you have the side-by-side comparison, and I have this every day, no, it's not. If you just have the Q95B, then fine. Don't compare it with an OLED TV. That's how it is. I mean saturation, maybe. Yeah, maybe that's the right word. Yes. Thank you. How much better is the G2 over the C7? I have no idea about the C7, but the G2 is better than the CX. It's not significant. It's not like a day and night. And it's a question if you like to pay the money for a better TV. And it depends really what you like to do with your TV. And again, in my opinion, if you're a movie freak and you like to watch Netflix all the time and you're not playing at all, get a A95K from Sony if you can afford it. Okay, if you're a hardcore gamer, okay, if you're a hardcore gamer and you're playing one and the game at the same time all the time, then maybe a QLED TV LCD screen is better than an OLED TV because of burn-in, which shouldn't be a problem nowadays, burn-in, but you never know. You know, if you play 24/7 the same game, then maybe it is a problem. But if you're a gamer and mostly you play games S95B, if you're not looking for the most accurate picture, okay, if you like for a pop picture, go with the S95B. If you like the best all-rounder with very good out-of-the-box setting, very good accuracy, LG OLED TVs. That's how it is. And in this case, which one then? It's absolutely up to you. I'm so happy with my G2. It blows me away all the time. When I'm watching right now on Netflix, not right now, but right now, Our Planet in Dolby Vision. And I know Dolby Vision is right now not quite right on the LG OLED TVs, but what I found also not on the CX, and I'm very sure I did the right thing. It is so much better on the G2. So now it's my PlayStation. See, I'm not doing anything. Now the PlayStation goes to sleep. Don't sleep. Not allowed to sleep. It's so much better. And also HDR10, where the EOTF curve is actually, or the EOTF is actually very, very accurate on the G2. It is better than on the CX. I told you already with the average picture brightness, the G2 is just significant brighter than the CX. That's how it is. Hello, do you recommend buying a TV over a monitor? This depends. If you're not a competitive gamer, then I would buy a TV for gaming all the time. But there's so many questions open. How far are you sitting away? Can you actually put the TV close? Or, so many questions. But in terms of quality and picture quality, we need to be, frankly, there's nothing better than OLED. Full stop. Period. There's nothing better than OLED. No LCD screen in the world can beat an OLED TV in terms of contrast, pixel response time, and stuff like that. That's how it is. Full stop. C7 is not good for HDR. I have no idea actually what is C7, but I can, maybe it is really not good because it's an OLED TV. Is Dolby Vision for movies great for you on the G2? At the moment, I love it. I love it actually, and I know that they will fix Dolby Vision because it's brighter than it should be right now. But even they will fix it, I love this TV at the moment. I really like it. And Dolby Vision was for me also one of the why I went with LG. It's not that it is. It's not a must have. Don't get me wrong. You can enjoy your A95K has Dolby Vision for movies, but not for gaming. S95B has no Dolby Vision at all, but it's still a fine TV. You will, it's okay. You know what I mean. But for me, for my channel, I need to have Dolby Vision for gaming as well. That's how it is. And at the moment, I just love it. Is it worth upgrading from the QN90A to C2 G2? Absolutely. This is absolutely. QN90A is actually worse in terms of picture quality, local dimming and stuff like that than the QN90B. And the QN90B is no way that this TV is even close to a C2 or G2. So absolutely, yes. Can you watch HDR Dolby Vision movies with dynamic tone mapping on or off? So no, in Dolby Vision you can't do anything. Dolby Vision is doing what Dolby Vision is supposed to do. You can't change the peak brightness or dynamic tone mapping on. Dynamic tone mapping on and off is just for HDR10, and yes, you can do this. You can turn on dynamic tone mapping on or off when you watch HDR10 content. I'm looking at Panasonic 77-inch. Oh yes, I saw this from Vincent that this TV should be wow. So what is the maximum peak luminance brightness from this Panasonic? Actually, also over 1000 nits. So it's Panasonic TVs are not available here in Australia, as far as I know. For sure, not the OLED TVs. What do we have here? Can you match LG G2 APL on CX by turning on dynamic tone mapping on? No. So if I turn on dynamic tone mapping on both TVs, then again the G2 is much brighter. But you will never know. Dynamic tone mapping is not working like it is, because as soon you have a very bright object on the screen, the rest from the screen is dark again. So the average picture brightness on the G2 is just brighter than on the CX. There's nothing what you can do about. That's how it is. I'm a LG fan. After using my BX OLED, ain't gonna change brand. Yes, okay, good. LG has best package versus price. Next TV will be LG for sure. Yeah, that's price package, best package versus price is also, in my opinion, LG OLED TVs. Of course, right now the Samsung, the S95B is very affordable in the US, and this then, of course, yeah, why not? I mean, you get a brand new display technology, which is great, and I'm looking forward to get my hands on the A95K at some point. I'm not quite sure if I can do this year, or maybe I'm waiting for next year for the next model. Yeah, that's how it is. CX Warm 2 is dull, but out of the box is much brighter. Yeah, but Max, on out of the box in gaming, it's way too bluish. Way too bluish. Doesn't look nice at all. If CX is more cheap, G2 or CX, what do you mean? The CX should be very, very cheap, because CX, first of all, is not available anymore, and if you buy it used, then it should be very, very cheap. But if you're looking for your first OLED TV, it's very hard always to say. Let's say if your budget is $5,000, then I would actually think about the A95K. I'm not quite sure what the budget is for, or what the price is for the G2 in the US. But let's say your budget is exactly what the G2 price is, then I would go for the G2. That's how it is. I would not buy if I would compare it, and then I have to make a decision, I would not go for the CX. Personally, even let's say there is a $1,500 difference or whatever, or $2,000. That's how I am. Okay, that's because that's my hobby. So, but I like accuracy, but in the end, it's all about the best value. As long as it shows most of the details, has good features, and looks pleasing to my eye, I'm fine with it. So, according to, let's talk about details. Let's talk about HDR, and let's talk about gaming. Let's talk about specular highlights and details. And you will see this on my QN95B video very, very often. The G2 has the best HDR what I have seen so far. That's how it is. It shows you so much more details in HDR, in specular highlights, compared to the CX already. And the QN95B, spoiler alert, has no chance. Not a single chance. No way. And we're talking about the 1700 nits maximum peak brightness on the QN95B versus 1000 nits peak brightness on the G2. And there you can see that just pure numbers, they're not telling you anything about quality. That's how it is. The G2 is for HDR gaming so much better than the QN95B. Full stop. And you will see this on my video, which I will publish after this stream. So what's the time actually? 11:54. So it's almost midnight. Hello, Jones. I just say Jones. Thank you very much for the super chat. When you're going to do a video LGCX for Nintendo Switch. Okay, so many people asking me for Nintendo Switch settings. I really need to do this. Unbelievable. I have to admit, I personally don't like playing Switch games on, or certain Switch games on my TV. So I played a Mario Kart. Mario Kart was fun and it's fine and it's looking good, but other games like Zelda the Wind Waker on a big screen in this resolution, no, I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. I love my Nintendo OLED Switch. I love playing on this one because of the smaller screen, and the OLED screen is great. There's just a calibration tool missing, Nintendo. You know, that's what we need. But yeah, I you know what, Jones, this is actually a very good idea. And again, thank you very much for the super chat. I need to do this settings video for Nintendo Switch. Yeah, so many people actually asking me. Cinema home or cinema for movies? Cinema home or cinema for movies? For LG. So what I'm using on the LG G2 is Cinema Home User. That's the right name. Yeah, Cinema Home User. Because it's brighter than the normal Cinema Home. I think so, yeah. But not sure what Cinema for movies is. Do you think LG will join QD OLED next year, have a new tech to rival it, or stay with W OLED? I don't know. They need to do something, and I don't know. I don't know if they, because they're producing their own screens. You know what I mean? Their panels. You know what I mean? So I don't think. I don't know. I can't think about, or I don't think so that they're actually buying panels from Samsung. I can't see that. But maybe I'm completely wrong. But I hope that they're doing something similar, or maybe something completely different, and bringing also out a new technology, which is better than QD OLED. I hope so. Hey, I'm from Brazil and CX still available. Really? So you can buy it just normally in the shop? Oh, that's surprising here. We can't. There's no CX here in the shops anymore. Here another one from Brazil. Hey Jones, you're from Brazil? Brazil, that's very great. So what else do we have? Do you think the Sony InZone M9 is good for its price? I don't even know what this is. Is this the new gaming monitor? I think shadow detail is more important than the highlights. Flashes come and go in a second. Crawling around in a dungeon can take an hour. Yeah, okay, fair enough. That's a good point. But even then, you should have a great TV. And the G2 is also showing all the highlights, or all the shadow details. There's no problem with that. What stand are you using for your G2? A very cheap $30 Amazon stand. And my plan is at some point when I win the lot, or when I'm, I don't know, getting some money to buy actually the original stand, because it just looks so ugly. It looks so ugly. But I don't want to wall mount it, because I just don't want to. Because sometimes I'm moving my TVs, and you know, I don't want to do it. I feel like the C series has its place. The G series is going to need something next year to compete at the price bracket now. Yeah, correct. Yes, correct. Yeah, or they need to be much cheaper. Because yeah, I agree with you. But A90, but Sony is still too expensive in my opinion. For the because you will be surprised when you see the so an even Caleb from or what's his channel name? I forgot his channel name. But even Caleb mentioned that when he compared the A95K and the G2, he personally would go for the G2 because he found the picture brighter. And this is very interesting, because usually the A95K should be brighter. But the thing is, just because the TV is able to get brighter, that doesn't mean that the content, what you watch, is actually made for this. You know what I mean? So, and just because the QD OLED TV can get much brighter in terms of colors, that doesn't mean you actually need this. Because normal content, and I'm very sure Vincent made a video about this. Normal content is very often even HDR content is very often in the SDR range when it comes to colors. So there is no problem at all with the WRGB OLED TVs to display this. Not at all. So, anything else? Ask me anything what you want. TV related or HDR related. So who do we have here? If you can get a CX for the price, for 50% the price, I would say go for it. That it is, yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, if you pay just 50% of the G2, I think, yeah. I think that's what you should do then, yeah. Buying an 83-inch TV for cable, sports, movie, and a bit of PlayStation 5, aiming for G2. Which one you recommend? I mean, so first of all, don't buy an LCD TV. That's my recommendation. I don't like it. I think there's not a single LCD TV can compete with an OLED TV. That's how it is. And the G2 is a pretty good OLED TV, very good. And there is no A95K in this size right now. So yeah. Maybe the A80 or whatever from Sony, the OLED TVs. But I'm not quite sure about how good they are actually. Okay, what do we have here? Gaming tag. If the stand you use on G2 is not the LG stand, can you post a link? I can. Can I post a link here? No, I can't. I don't have my login here from Amazon here on this computer. No, sorry, I can't do it. But just look up for VESA stand. You know, just a normal $20-30 VESA stand. That's what I bought. Not even I bought actually literally the cheapest one. So what do we have here? For competitive gaming with high FPS, the M9 is in the middle of the pack. Okay. In VRR mode, LCD sucks over OLED in picture quality. Look, yes, there's a little bit of, so let's say like this, LCD doesn't suck compared to OLED in terms of picture quality in general, but LCD is not as good in terms of picture quality than OLED TVs. That's my opinion after I did a lot of testing with the QN95B and the G2. And yes, I agree, the G2 of course is the high end from LG. But even the CX, and I mentioned this before, is in movies the better choice than the QN95B. HDR gaming, yes, the QN95B has more impact. Yeah, when it comes then to VRR and HDR gaming, the QN95B is pretty good. There's almost no difference. What I found, you have a little bit of a delay in terms of the local dimming, but you have it's also complete working as the same. You have perfect black levels when it comes to this, but there's a little bit of a delay. You can see this. But again, if you like to have the best picture quality, go with an OLED TV. The lack of HDMI 2.1 ports on other brands annoys me. Yes, I see. Right now I'm just using one port on the G2. But the thing is, if you're normal, you're not like me, okay, and you're not doing testing like crazy all the time, then you have one TV. Then you have set up everything on your TV, your Xbox, your PC, maybe your PlayStation 5, your Switch and whatever. And if you don't have a HDMI 2.1 receiver, then you need as many as HDMI ports what you can have. And the Sony A95K is a fail in this case, in my opinion, because you have exactly two HDMI 2.1 ports, and one of those ports is actually the audio return channel, which you would need if you like to connect a soundbar. I'm not quite sure if you can connect a soundbar with optical as well, but this is nah. So on the other hand, of course, if you have a HDMI 2.1 receiver, no problems at all. Okay, what else do we have? What else do we have here? I play 120 Hz VRR on my C1 and I see no flicker, but I guess it varies from game to game. Correct. It varies from game to game. On the G2 there is flicker as well. Sorry for that. S95B or LG G2, they're on sale for about the same price. Love the channel. Best wishes. Thank you very much, Matt. This really depends what you like to do and what you expect from the TV. So if you're talking about the same price and you look for a very good all-round TV, then the G2. That's my opinion. If you now, let's say, just like to play games and you don't care about Dolby Vision at all, then go with the S95B, because in terms of gaming it will give you higher SDR brightness. I think it's still higher even after the update. It will gives you a more impactful HDR picture. Even it's not accurate at all, but some people like this, and that's how it is. But I personally would not choose the S95B, and I will not go. So most likely I will not buy the S95B at all. There must be a very, very good offer compared to the A95K that I'm going with the S95B, but then just because I like to see the technology compared to my G2. But the S95B is not on my list at the moment. The A95K is on my list, but that's yeah. Do you experience screen dimming on the G2? Yes, I did, but just when I'm using it as a PC screen. And this is actually weird because even I turned all the little helpers off and whatever, it's still dimming. But as soon you move your mouse or whatever, it's back. So on the CX this was never a problem. I never experienced this during any movie or during any content at all. Dimming. Just with PC when I do my editing and you maybe type something in or whatever, or you arrange something, because sometimes when you just move your mouse a little bit and the I'm having my mouse is set to contrast, actually, that it will show me always a different color from the mouse. Depends on where the mouse is on the screen to find it much easier. But sometimes if this is not bright enough, the TV will still dim. It's not a big deal because it's not getting complete dark or whatever. But I never experienced this on the CX, and I couldn't find any official option where I can turn this off. The VRR flicker only affects PC. That's not correct, buddy. It's happening on the PlayStation 5 as well, and also the Xbox. And I tested this so many times. I can see this on all the TVs, all the consoles and PCs. You can turn off dimming in the service menu. I have switched it off on my C1 and no screen retention after much gaming. Yeah, I don't want to access the service menu on my G2 right now. No, it's brand new. I don't want to do this. Cinema Home. What do you mean with Cinema Home? So I'm using Cinema Home User, I think it's the name, from the LG G2, which is better. And this time on the so I couldn't use this feature, Cinema Home User. I think it's right. Cinema Home User. I couldn't use it on the CX because there was always True Motion activated. No. Yeah, True Motion, I think. So you couldn't disable it at all. But this time on the G2, you can actually set the cinema mode. Or let's say like this, you can turn off the soap opera effect completely on the G2 in the Cinema Home setting, which is great. Does local dimming increase input lag on Samsung QLED? Not that I'm aware of. The thing is, you have then a delayed local dimming. That's what's happening, but the input lag is still the same. Fabian. Hi, Glückwunsch und danke für diesen tollen Kanal. I noticed some weird flicker on my new C1 65-inch when watching football. The green grass shows some flicker. I tried all possible settings, toggle on off. Okay. Have you tried also sharpness to reduce sharpness? Maybe it's too sharp. Maybe, not sure. Do it. Access the yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, I have my remote, and I'm very sure it's the same code actually to get into the G2. You know, is it exactly the same? I haven't tried it at all. I don't want to destroy anything at all. But is it the same way as I go into the CX? And that's the one what I have to turn off. AI auto generate off. TPC and GSR off helps a ton. Okay. Same method. Okay, perfect. I will. Oh my God! Now I try. Now I know exactly what I'm doing tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. TPC and GSR off helps a ton. Okay. For Cinema Home on CX AI settings. For Cinema Home on CX AI settings. Oh, that's what you have to turn off or whatever. So because I would like to use the Cinema Home user, the brighter mode on the CX. So right now I'm using the standard mode when I compare Dolby Vision with the CX and the G2, because otherwise I have this bloody soap opera effect on the CX which looks terrible. And if I use Cinema Home, it's just way too dark. I got a cheap i1 display calibrator and calibrate SDR myself. Yeah, I have the same. It's cheap, but it's doing the job. It's a good way to learn how to get the best picture quality out of your TV. Hdr calibration, however, is expensive and may not be worth it to some. There's something missing probably. In terms of SDR, yes, SDR is very easy to calibrate. Absolutely easy in my opinion. HDR is a complete different story. And I'm still need to learn a lot about this. A lot. And I would need probably to get the best result, I need to have a better calibration tool. But the i1 is working fine with the WRGB. And this was also the reason why I went actually with a WRGB panel, because of the calibration. Because the S95B, A95K, you can't calibrate it with the i1 display. Doesn't work. Why you're laughing, Tenkai? Why you're laughing? I'd like to know why you're laughing. If my CX will broke, then G2. Okay, then I hope you have your CX a very long time, because it shouldn't break. Can't even use a 4 nanometer spectrum for QD OLED. Need 2 nanometers. So, Matt, what 2 nanometer spectrum is available and which one can someone afford? This is, I know the 5 nanometer whatever from whatever is around $8,000 or whatever used. So what is a 2 nanometer spectrum? How much you have to pay for this? So it's nah. So it is, and that's why I'm not getting a S95B. S95B is crap out of the box in terms of picture settings or out of the box settings, and then you even can't calibrate it. So no, for me S95B is no way. A95K is a different story, but even if I would get the A95K, I would try to get someone to calibrate it. But if now Matt tells me you need to have a 2 nanometer spectrum, then I'm very sure there are not many people here in Australia or Adelaide which having a 2 nanometer spectrum. I'm very sure about that. CR300, no, many. Okay. Yeah, I think the CR300 was also very, very expensive. It's not worth it for someone doing this private, you know. That's something for a company, or if you do this for business, you know what I mean. The i1 is absolutely fine. It's affordable, and it's working with the WRGB panels just perfectly. No worries at all. And you even don't need the Kalman software. You can use HCFR, which is our open source software, which actually, in my opinion, works better than Kalman. To be very honest, I don't like Kalman at all. The internal test pattern on Kalman, say whatever you want, they are wrong, in my opinion. They're absolutely wrong. They're not correct. And whatever you set up with as a profile for your meter, it's also not correct. You need to have a meter profile, a EDR file, I think it's the name, for Kalman, for your i1 display calibrator tool, to get actually the correct result. And HCFR, when you use the WRGB form calorie profile, that's special for the i1. It's perfect. So yeah, HCFR is amazing. Absolutely, it's old, and unfortunately they're not doing more in terms like that. Unfortunately, but CR300 is around 15,000 US dollar. It's easy. You can afford it. Just buy two and send me one. Okay, no worries. I pay the shipping. Okay, I pay the shipping. No worries. Speaking of nanometer, what happens when they reach 001 nanometer in chip making tech? Reminds me what below. Then they getting even smaller. I have no idea. They will find a way. Rather buy a house. Good morning, Matt. I have no idea how cheap houses are in US, but you pay a little bit more here in Australia. Good morning, Moose Dog. How are you? But it's not good morning, or is it? Shit, it's good morning here. It's midnight. It's 12:16 a.m. in Australia. Houses are nuts in California, eh? Really? Because everything is so hot, or what? Why? So the houses here in Australia are very, very cheap built. They're increasing in price like crazy, and we were very, very lucky when we bought this house here 2 years ago. The market was actually on a very low actually, and then COVID hits, and after this the prices went up like crazy. But they're very cheap built compared to Germany. That's day and night, not even day and night. That's like, I don't know. That's like Earth and Moon. The difference, really, like crazy. You know, in Germany you have proper houses. Of course, they're more expensive in Germany. You have proper walls. You know, here when you fall against a wall, the house is destroyed because it's just this bloody whatever. What is the name? Blaster shit. You know what I mean? It's no. Anyway, it's 7:45 in Arizona. AM or PM? House starts at maybe $600,000. Yeah, okay. But that's US dollar, okay. Australian dollar, US dollar, there's always a difference. Most 2 bedrooms, even 1950s build, starts at 1 million. I mean, okay, California, there, you know, you shouldn't live where all the actors living, Matt. You know what I mean? Maybe go a little bit outside, you know, where you can afford it. Unbelievable. 1 million. Yeah, but that's normal. It's here the same. If you like to live in the city or whatever, or closer to the beach, you pay crazy money right now, even for small apartments, you know, where you can hear your neighbor, you know, jumping on his girlfriend or whatever. Just mine. I posted your HDR findings on Spider-Man 2 Nixes and Insomniac Twitter account. I hope they see and fix it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should do about every patch a video about this, like I did with Horizon Forbidden West. No, actually I don't. It's just ridiculous, you know, in my opinion. It's just ridiculous. And this, you can see, that's why I don't like. I'm not saying that HDR on the consoles are always perfect. It's far away from that. You know, we have also broken HDR on consoles. But PC in terms of HDR is just a joke sometimes. Halo, the Master Chief Edition, has no HDR support at all on the PC. It has great HDR on the console, on the Xbox. Very great HDR. Grounded. The was it the Steam version or the Microsoft Store version? I can't remember, but one of those versions doesn't support HDR. I'm not kidding. I think the Steam version supports HDR and the Microsoft Store version does not. This is ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, he's now working for Sandra Bullock. Yeah. Just calibrating, by the way, nothing else. And all the other very important. So he's very important now, but I'm very happy that he's here. So it looks like he's not very busy right now. Or maybe it's very early in the morning, he's having coffee. Nah, actually that's really nice, really cool work. I'm very sure it's cool work. And for sure he has all the great TVs. That's of course great. You know what I mean? He's working, okay. Working and yeah, but I know how it works. You know, when I worked for the broadcast company and I did the calibration for the TVs back then, you pressed on a button and then you waited for 20 minutes. That's how it was. You know what I mean? So maybe you do exactly the same, pressing buttons and then waiting. Of course, I'm just kidding. I do lots of LGs, yes, okay. So that's what the stars like, LG TVs. Okay. I mean, they're good. And the reason why I bought a LG is because Matt liked it. And I think he will be very upset with me if I would buy a S95B. Lots of gear and setup and running around. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. What's up, Gaming Tech? I'm on my lunch break and happen to see you online. Greetings. Hey, X King. Yeah, it's very late here. That's the only time when I can do streaming. Unfortunately, it doesn't add up with my US viewers at all. Unfortunately, that sucks. Really, actually, because I'm very sure I would have much more. Not that I'm not grateful that you're here, but I'm very sure I would have more viewers actually when I would stream to a different time. I think so. Yeah, he is for sure. That's not even my question. I love my C1. Too bad my wife needs Google TV off the app. So who is actually the boss? You know? The colonizer. I really need to. Yeah, don't hit. No, oh my god. No. Yeah, good. Of course we know who is the boss, huh? Thanks God I have my wife is very, very okay with what I'm doing. Yes, because it's not normal actually. No, it's not normal. No, I'm not normal. S95P would drive you nuts. I agree. What I heard about all this stuff and whatever now. And again, Matt, the Q95P in terms of calibration, it's a nightmare. It's really literally a nightmare. I'm not sure if I told you this, but when you do a grayscale, let's say you have your 50% grayscale, 10% size, and you do a grayscale, let's say 100%, doesn't matter. And you start adjusting RGB levels, and you're finished, and then you close the menu, you will have now suddenly different colors, different color temperature. I'm not joking. The menu on the Q95B is changing the color temperature from the 10% window. I'm not kidding. And this is so much crap. I never seen this crappy behavior before. The LG TV, the G2, I did a very quick 2-point calibration today. 960 candela, by the way, in HDR10, which is, I was expecting more. I like to hit 1000, but that's how it is. It's LG is just so much better to calibrate, full stop. And if the S95B, don't talk about the QD OLED pixel structure and that you need a 2 nanometer spectra or whatever, but if the calibration is behaving the same as on the Q95B, this is just crap, full stop, absolutely crap, and I would give the TV back, full stop. No 97s yet. Marcus, I've been turning VRR off on play. Can't stand the gamma shift one. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. That's just. Now S95B. If you're happy with the picture out of the box, then get it. But if you as soon you like to change something, or no, forget this TV. Gaming Tech, having the G2, do you need or watch movies on physical disc, or streaming looks good enough? Streaming looks fantastic. I have the feeling that so at some point with all the hardware decoder encoder stuff or whatever, it's very close to Blu-ray already. Absolutely. Sometimes even YouTube, when you watch some HDR 8K 4K material, looks so amazing. And we know that YouTube has the compression artifacts, what you can see, unfortunately. But it is just wow. Okay, let the TV dim. I don't care. Let PlayStation dim. It's fine. Netflix here in Australia has a great picture quality, absolutely. And if you watch the right material, like Our Planet in Dolby Vision, this has such a great picture quality. I'm not missing any physical discs at all. No ZMS, must be Samsung, yeah. The LG ZX is still very impressive to this day. Yeah, correct, yeah. Yeah, you need to take tons of time with those sets. Yeah, and then even it's still crap then. You know what I mean? Even you take the time, it's still crap. LG can be made reference for SDR and track picture quality really close for HDR. Yeah, that's I know. So LG, my CX was, so I calibrated it back then for SDR and it was perfect. And I'm very sure I made tons of videos about this. And the average delta E error was around way below 0.5. And 0.5, if it's below 0.5, in my opinion, it's okay. Above 0.5, I would say work a little bit longer on it. But the CX can go way below 0.5 as well, if you like to do it, if you like to invest the time. But with the Q95B, no, I gave up. I just don't want to waste the time. Full stop. How is the G2 upscaler processor if you put it up against the XR, the XR? I don't have a XR. Maybe you're not asking me. I can't see a difference between the CX and the G2, to be honest. To be very honest. But I haven't done a proper side-by-side comparison. Because what I have to say, and when I'm doing my testing and I'm recording my stuff, I'm watching actually my side-by-side comparison then on my G2 to see actually the differences, because it's much easier with zooming in and stuff like that. We have to be fair here, you know. Sometimes the differences are very subtle. You have to zoom in. You have to see actually a difference. Okay, some differences are like the average picture brightness on the G2 is much better. Full stop. You can easily spot this in a side-by-side comparison, but sometimes you have maybe a little bit better shadow details on the G2, but this is very subtle. You have to look very, very closely. ist bei dir auch das Weiß etwas dunkel beim LG CX9? Okay, CX9. Not sure if you asking me if so the white on the CX is dull compared to the G2. That's how it is. That's how it is. If I compare outer scenes, and I said this already before, with a normal daylight brightness, and you have an outer scene in a movie, the CX looks dull compared to the G2. That's how it is. So anything else? It's already 12:30. I will stop this stream very, very soon, because I need to, first of all, I need to publish the video what I made, and then I need to go to bed. And I should maybe eat something, but maybe not. It's too late for eating. And by the way, you're more than welcome to send your questions with a super chat function. I really would appreciate this. Thank you very much. And it's interesting. So I'm looking at this bloody YouTube. You know what I mean? Bloody YouTube. I'm looking at my YouTube analyzers at the moment, and you can see actually when. So because I have monetization on. Yeah. I'm greedy. I agree. Yeah. Full stop. Anyway, I have monetization on, and so when you start the stream, there is a advertising in the beginning, which is fine in my opinion. But then I can see actually that YouTube put also advertising in during my stream, and this is really interesting because I lost suddenly 30 viewers because of the advertising. So YouTube, don't do this, okay? Don't do this. Maybe next time I will not have monetization turned on. Maybe. First world problems. Anyway. Okay, so any last questions in terms of LG CX and G2? And we haven't answered the question actually if you should upgrade or not. And I can't answer this for you, to be very honest. I'm happy that I bought the LG G2. It's the much better choice than the QN95B. An OLED TV is always the better choice over an LCD TV. Full stop. Period. And I'm having the QN95B here, which is one of the best LCD screens what you can buy. Not the best, but one of the best. Okay, so that's how it is. And even then, with calibration more or less done, it's not competitive against an OLED TV at all, in my opinion. Not at all. G2 is the best WRGB ever made. Yes, I agree. Better than my CX. Absolutely. But question is, of course, if you have the CX, if you should upgrade. That's the question to the G2. And again, it's a hobby. It's doesn't matter where you spend your money. You know what I mean? If you spend your money anyway, you know. So spend it for the G2. Why not? If you like to have an improvement in terms of picture quality, yes, go for it. But don't expect a day and night difference. Okay? Don't expect a day and night difference. In my opinion, it's not, but it's visible also. But it's not like day and night. But I think the same counts for A95K as well, because not all the content will utilize the power from the A95K. And yeah, and the point why so many people seeing a difference on the S95B versus, let's say, CX, C1, C2 or G2 is because the S95B is just terribly wrong out of the box, and it will over brighten and over saturating all the colors and stuff like that. So it's just terribly wrong, but some people like it, and if you like this, then go for it. No worries at all. I am not a big fan at all. In terms of gaming, I'm not that fussy at all in terms of gaming, but when it comes to watching movies, which I do a lot in terms Netflix and whatever, I can't stand this. I can't stand oversaturated colors. I can't stand when the gamma is not correct, and I can see this. That's the problem. I don't like it. Still rocking my CX and still love it. Yes. Then keep it. There's no point to upgrade then. Yeah, okay, upsizing, yeah, but I'm not upsizing because I don't want to. 65 inches perfect for me for my viewing distance. That's how it is. Okay, guys. Any last wishes? Any last comments? Any last super chat function or super chat contributions? Because I really need to work on my comparison video, or I need to publish it. Hopefully YouTube is finished with uploading the stuff. I hope so. And then I will publish this in a bit, and hopefully you can see why you shouldn't buy an LCD TV at all. Okay? Could you answer A95K versus G2 for gaming? If you don't care about money, and if you like to have the best possible picture, then the A95K is better than the G2. The question is how much is it better, and if it was the more price, the higher price. I can't answer this. I can't answer this. But in terms of the better technology, there's no doubt that the A95K is the better deal. Not deal in terms of price, but it's the better technology. That's how it is. But yeah, very hard to in terms of input lag there. I wouldn't give a. Don't bother too much about 8 milliseconds versus 4 milliseconds. It's really, you will not notice this at all. Not at all, okay? In terms of input lag. When it comes to maybe PC using the screen and with some text or whatever, then I would be a little bit more careful because of the pixel structure. But again, I haven't seen this in live. I would need to see this. I just can tell you that the WRGB panel is so sharp on my PC. It's not over sharp at all. And by the way, sharpness is 0, okay? Also in PC mode, 0, always 0. 10 is over sharpen like crazy. But it is so sharp, the G2, compared to the Q95B. And also I have the feeling it's sharper than the CX, which is technically actually not, it's not possible if they're doing the right thing on both TVs. But the G2 looks so bloody sharp in terms of text, or when you read something, or when I'm doing my editing. Wow, it's just wow. Thank you, Moodstock. Have a great day. When do you think OLED will hit 1500 nits? I hope next year. In a light controlled room, the C1 is the best bung for your buck there. Here there is, hands down, no need for this crazy QD OLEDs. Yeah, I agree, and we have to admit it's just the first time QD OLED. So usually they're getting better with the next years. Okay, usually, but it's always, if you're early adopter, you're getting the beta stuff. That's how it is. I mean, I'm not saying that they're not good. Don't get me wrong. The A95K is the best TV what you can buy, but yeah, you will see a better TV next year. In terms of WRGB, I'm not sure if we see a big improvement next year. There was also not a big improvement this year. Okay, it's always just very little steps, and not quite sure if there can be a big improvement next year. WRGB panels, I don't think so actually. Anyway, I will finish this stream here. It was great. Thank you very much for all your people, for all the people that joined me and listened to my crap and looking at my face. And thank you very much for being very polite in the chat. I really appreciate this, that we don't have any fanboys here, or You can be fanboy, but then you know, you get my point. Thank you very much for this. Thank you very much, Matt. Thank you very much for joining this chat. It's always a pleasure to have you here because I value your experience or your knowledge actually a lot, and many other people's as well. Thank you very much again, and yeah, do some work, okay? No worries. Thank you very much, Charles Hilton. Thank you very much for the super chat, $5. I'm not sure, did I miss any? There's no question. There's no question. Thank you very much. If you have any question, just put it now in. Thank you, Mr. OLED. I'm not Mr. OLED. I hope that at some point I'm Mr. HDR, but I have a long way to go. Long way to go for this. HDR setting gaming stuff, you know what I mean. A long way to go. Fabian, thank you very much. Next Sunday, Fabian and Laura. Where's Laura? Don't tell me she's working. Next Sunday, 10 or 11 p.m. Adelaide time, we're starting the next game. Okay? I really enjoy this. I like to do every Sunday evening now, 10 p.m. Adelaide time or 11 p.m. Adelaide time. I like to do playing a game on a stream. And we finished last Sunday, we finished Resident Evil 7, and it was a great game. I have to say Resident Evil 7 is bloody great game. I asked a question. I don't know. Maybe I missed it. Sorry, Trevor. Maybe I missed it. No question. Okay, thank you very much, Charles, again for the super chat. Thank you very much. I much appreciate it. And then, yeah, thank you very much, people. Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, Resident Evil so good. So stay tuned because I will publish my comparison between the QN95B and the G2 very, very soon, maybe in the next half an hour, if YouTube has finished all the upload and stuff like this. And just put in the comment section what you think about the comparison and what I can improve actually. And I know there is a lot to improve, but please keep in mind I'm doing this on my own. I don't have no one to help me, and time is a big problem. And yeah, and I get you. Instead of doing a stream, I would be able to do a video, yeah. But stream is also fun. I love chatting with you guys. Okay, anyway, that's enough for today. I say thank you very much, and I hope to see you guys next time. Yeah. Thank you very much again. Have a good night, good morning, good evening, good lunch break, whatever. Okay. Thank you. Bye.